In this video we're going to look at the gradient. The gradient gives us a measure of steepness. For example, the gradient of a road going up a hill would inform how steep the steepness of the slope of that hill. In maths, gradient is denoted by the letter M. There is a formula that we're going to use this year, which is gradient is rise over run. And I have circled these main things that I'm stating here. So gradient is rise over run. Here we have a straight line. The gradient of that straight line is constant. That is, when we find the gradient, it's going to be the same no matter where we measure it along that line. The gradient is a measure of steepness, so the greater the value of the gradient, the steeper the line is. If we have a line such as this, a horizontal line, there is no slope, so the gradient is 0. If we have a vertical line, we say that the gradient is infinite or undefined. If a line slopes, like this line here, in that direction, we say that the gradient is positive. A line that slopes this way, we say the gradient is negative. Often I have silly ways to remember things. The way I remember, if I get a bit confused which is which, this is the negative gradient, and if I go like that, it makes the letter N. With the positive gradient, if I go like that, it doesn't make a letter N. So that's negative gradient, makes a letter N. That's the positive gradient if a line slopes that way. So for these questions, state whether these lines have a positive, negative, 0 or undefined gradient. So does that make a letter N? No. So that one is the positive gradient. Does this make a letter N? Yes. So it's the negative gradient. And remember, a horizontal line we say is a 0 gradient, and a vertical line we say is undefined or infinite gradient. So they're pretty simple there. Just needing to remember which way is positive gradient, which way is negative. Horizontal line is 0, vertical line is undefined or infinite gradient. Okay, and next example is asking us actually to find the gradient of the line. First things first, I know the gradient of this line is going to be positive because of the way it's going, but what is the actual gradient? So our gradient is rise over run. So I choose two convenient points on this line. So I'm going to, for example, put a point here, and I will choose a point there. So they're convenient points on the line because they go through the grid exactly. So we choose two convenient points on the line and we draw a triangle. Connect those points making a triangle. Doesn't matter which 2 points you choose because the gradient of a straight line is going to be constant. So if you chose a different 2 points, you'll get the same answer. So let's look at the rise. So the rise is this line here. It's gone up 2 on the grid. So our rise is 2. Across here, we've run across 1. So our gradient formula is M, standing for gradient is rise over run. Our rise was 2. Our run was 1. Therefore, that line has a gradient of 2. So you can see here the triangle's been drawn. So basically, remembering gradient is a measure of steepness represented by the letter M. We find it by using rise over run. A gradient of a straight line is constant. A line going this way has a positive gradient. A line going that way has a negative gradient. Horizontal line, gradient is 0. Vertical line, gradient is infinite or undefined. To find the gradient, choose some convenient points, make a triangle, working out from that triangle what the rise is and what the run is.